Don't feel bad when I'm down, I'ma be okay. This Drake gon' come right back around and smack the BOA. Only the members gon' come round and see what's down one. We go Galacron, pretty on the shotgun. Knew I was finna be great when I came out the wound. They hate that I'm a butterfly that came out that cocoon.
What's up, YouTube? I'm bigoted back, cracking homie.
Yo, homie.
I'm gonna do the Camaro on this video. Well, I'm gonna start on it. I know I've been saying this for the longest. I know some of y'all been waiting on the Camaro, but as you know, I bought that tank for it with the fuel pump, sending unit, and all that good stuff. Been chilling in the garage for months. So I'm gonna show you how to put it together, because when you get it, it's not installed, or how can I say, it's not put together. And there's some things you have to do to get the fuel pump to fit properly in the sending unit. So let's do some math. I cut off my whiskers. Now I'm looking like a turtle in a half shell. Alright, this is everything that come in the kit. You got the fuel tank, as you can see. Also, you have the fuel pump housing right here. It's from Fitech. This is for a return style. So you got the return right here, then you have the inlet right here, and this is the vent, and this is the fuel pump. I got it 340 because the Camaro is turbo, and I needed to feed. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, boy.
And all right. So that's the 340. You got the cork gaskets right here. I mean, foam gaskets. Got the cork gasket over here. This right here is the fuel tank thingamajig that go right here. I forgot what you call that, but it's the neck, the fuel neck. That's the neck. Got some bolts, screws, some fittings, so when you hook up the fuel pump, you can run your wires to it. This right here is a rollover thingamajig. Then you got another T. This right here is the sending unit. You also got the float, okay? Got the bracket to go on top to bolt everything down with the sending unit. And now everything is universal. The way this is not gonna fit in the tank. So you gotta know how to measure and cut it to get it to fit in your specific application. Okay? Okay. So here we go. Are you shooting me? Why you wanna do that, bro? That's what you get when you try to work inside the house. Oh, you can't shoot me if you can't hold your gun right. Anyway, we're gonna start assembling this and putting it together, and I'm gonna show y'all how to do this, okay? So first we're gonna start off with the fuel pump assembly, and what you want to get is a tape measure, and you want to measure the depth of this hole. The big hole is the fuel pump, the little hole is the sending unit. You feel me? But anyway, we gonna measure the depth of it. So let me stick this down in there and see what I get. I'm gonna try to do this with one hand, but see how that go. All right, so it looked like I got what's that, 8 7/8 all the way to the top. So mine is 8 7/8. Okay, remember that number. All right, now we gotta get the height of the fuel pump with the strainer installed, or the sock. So let me get this installed to here, and then we gonna measure the height of it with those two combined. To get this installed into the sock, all you have to do is line it up and then push down on it firmly until it sit all the way flat, and that's it. All right, now so I'm gonna measure from the bottom of the strainer all the way to the base of the fuel pump, right under this little nipple right here. So where this ring go around, the round part, that's where you want to measure. Once again, I'm gonna try to do it with one hand. Here we go. So I'm at what's that, 4 1/4. Yeah, right where the red one and one, you see that right there with the red and 1/4 right there, 4 1/4 right there. So that's my measurement, right? Yeah, that's a good view. 4 1/4, okay? All right, so you take those two numbers, the depth of the tank and then the height of the fuel pump, and subtract them. So if you subtract 4 1/4 from 8 7/8, it equals 4.6. And 4.6 on the dang on tape measure, man, it's like 4 5/8. It's a little more than half. So either you can go 4 1/2 or 4 5/8. I'm gonna do the 4 5/8 because you rather go higher than lower. Because if you make it too big, then you can shorten it to make it fit. But if you go too small, then it's too late then. So I'm gonna go 4 5/8. And what you gonna do? You gonna take the tape measure, do it with one hand again, and now you gonna measure from the base of the fuel pump holder all the way down to 4 5/8, and you want to mark it. I can't do that with one hand, so I'll be back. What a black thing at? There it goes. It's back there somewhere. But anyway, I marked it at 4 5/8. I'm not for sure if y'all can tell from this, but once you mark it, then you go get your handy dandy cutters, and you go cut it at that mark that you put, which is on my measurement with 4 5/8. So I'm gonna cut it right now. Okay. Alright, so now that you have your measurement, you already cut it. What you want to do, you want to heat up this plastic, whether you have a heat gun or a lighter, something that could put some heat to it to soften it up. Then you want to take the nipple off your pump, slide it on. Well, put on the clamp first, the hose clamp, then slide the pump on, tighten it down. So I'm gonna do that right now. Alright, so I got everything hooked up, but I also ran into problem number 1. The hose clamp that Fitech or Tank Inc., I don't know who to blame for this one, it's too big. I don't like silly shit. So I got that hose clamp on there, everything is together. Now you want to stretch out the return tube and make a mark at the base of the fuel pump, and that's where you want to cut a 45-degree angle right at the base of the fuel pump. Look like my mark. It's a little bit high, but you just want it around the base of the fuel pump where that black section ends. That's where you want to cut a 45-degree angle. Alright, so you cut that 45-degree angle in there. Also, they want you to cut this bracket right here because it was too long at first. The instructions kind of backwards. I would say cut this bracket. If you can cut this bracket to the correct measurement before you put the pump on there, it'll make it a lot easier. Because trying to cut this bracket without hitting the pump or the strainer, then you can see I nicked the pump right here trying to cut this thing. So you can do it before you put the pump on there. That'll be real good. So I got that cut. I got the 45 right here. Now you got to use the supply zip ties, which is these two right here, and they want you to zip tie the pump to this bracket right here, and you should be done. That should be it. Don't forget to plug up the connector to the fuel pump, and double check these bolts right here to make sure everything is tight, because you don't want to install all this stuff and come to find out you're not getting power or something and these bolts is loose and the ground and all that kind of dumb stuff. You probably never figure it out. Double check them. Double check. And that's it for the pump. Got everything on there. One of the zip ties I actually tied with the return line just to keep it from flopping around. They didn't say to actually do that, but one of them's going around the pump and the bracket. This one's going around the return line, the pump, and the bracket. So, you know, just to keep this from moving around too much. But that's it. Don't forget the connector, and don't forget to double check these. Drop this bad boy in the tank and start boating her down, okay? Okay. Now on to the sending unit. This is what gives the signal to your fuel gauge to let you know how much gas you have in your tank. Now, if your gas tank is anywhere between 6 and 15 inches, you don't need this lower bracket, which is the one that my pinky finger is on. You don't need that one, so we go remove it, and then we go reinstall this black housing on this top bracket. And to do that, just take off these two screws right here. Alright, so I got those two Phillips screws out. Now you got to remove these other two screw heads. Now you got two brackets. The one you want to remove, pay attention to the way this thing is laying. The one that's on top right here, remove that one. Looks like that. And then you go reinstall this piece back onto here. Now, once you install this onto the single bracket, put the screws back in, but do not tighten. You want to still have it adjustable where it slide up and down. Alright, now that's together like this, what you want to do is you want to take the depth of the tank, which is mine was, what was it, 8 7/8 and divided by 2. Came up with 4.4, so 4.4 is pretty much 4 3/8. So that's what I'm going to do mine, 4 3/8. And I'm going to show you where to measure it. Alright, so I got my 4 3/8. Plus you want to add the thickness of the gasket, which is 1/8 of an inch. I don't know if you can see that, but you want to add it. So 4 3/8 plus 1/8 of an inch is 4 1/2. So let me measure it, 4 1/2, and then we go tighten it down. Alright, so the 4 1/2 that I'm getting on my measurement, you measure it from the base of the plate to the center of this line right here. See that right there? You want to measure it from there. And I got 4 1/2, pretty much right on it. See if I'm sorry y'all. See if I can get this. Yeah, so look like it moved a little bit, but that's how you want to do it. I'm a little bit off. So that's 4 1/2. I want that 1/4 to line up with the center of this bolt. For some reason it look like it's a little off. Let me see. Oh no, it's good. See 4 1/2 right there lined up to the center? That's fine. I'm gonna leave it right there. That's what you want. From the base plate to the center of that bolt, whatever your measurement is, mine was 4 1/2. That's what you want right there. Once you make those measurements, that same screw that you measured to the center of, remove it and pull out this pin. Once you got that temporary rod out of there, you want to put the float shaft in there and tighten it just a little bit. You still want to make it keep it loose so you can do some adjustments to it. And once you got those adjustments in it, this is how you go measure it. You just want to measure, let's see if I can do this with one hand once again. Go put it at the edge of a table, like a flat surface or something like that, and you just want to measure 1/8 from the top, and then that's where you go tie it down. Let me see if I can do this so I can show you better. Alright, I couldn't do this by myself. I needed my beautiful wife to help me out. But what you want to do is you want to keep this ball about 1/8 of an inch lower than the base of this plate. And if you want to know, 1/8 of an inch is about the thickness of this screwdriver. And as you can see, you know what I'm saying, it's close enough. You ain't gotta be exact, but you want it close enough. 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so I got that in there. And if you can, all that bullshit. And that's about it. Just keep it at the 1/8 of an inch below, and you just want to swing it and make sure you can get the full motion of it. There you go. You know, you want that full motion, because this is going to tell your fuel gauge how much fuel you have in the car. And then that's it. The rest of the rod you can cut off, and then if this interferes with the bottom of the tank, like if it's hitting and you can't put it flush, then you're going to have to cut this. If it's not interfering, then you can leave it on there. Alright, now that you cut off the access from the rear, quick tip. You see how it still hits this ledge right here? When you cut off the access, you still want it to hit this ledge. Make sure it hit this ledge, but try to cut it to the point to where when it swings down, it stays inside this frame right here. Because when you go to try to drop this thing in this little bitty butt hole, if this rod is hanging out a little bit, it get pinned up in the corner, and now you got to kind of smash it in to get it to drop. Woo! Finally got it in. I'm telling y'all, it may look easy, but it's not. Okay, I'm filming this and I'm kind of figuring it out before I even hit record on the camera, but it's not easy. So if you're having a hard time lining these things up or dropping them in and all that good stuff, that's okay. I was having a hard time too. Now, to get that thing in here, another tip. Look at how the writing is on mine. So you would say it's upside down. If you just drop it in there any old way, that float hits that baffle in there and it won't let it line up with the screw holes. So you gotta, before you drop it all the way in, you gotta kind of play with it and try to get the screw holes to line up before you drop it all the way in. Okay, so I had this straight up and down thinking that, you know, that's the correct orientation because the writing was going the right way. But actually on mine, I had to put it with the writing upside down for the float to clear the baffle and sit flush and all that good stuff. Another thing, these holes in that gasket underneath, you know, you got to go through the gasket to hit the thread. It wasn't easy. I used this little pick right here. I kind of went under. You can see how you can see the gasket under. And I didn't like poke a hole in it, nothing, but I used it to maneuver the gasket around so I can get the holes to line up and drop the screw through. So I got everything in, and that's it. Finally got it done. Got the sending unit in, fuel pump. Now all I have to do is run the fuel lines on the car, hook them up to the fuel pump, run wiring harness from the car to the sending unit, strap everything in, and get this buddy on the road. Get the buddy on the road again. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Like, subscribe. I catch y'all in the next one. Now I'm gonna go in there and get beat up by my wife for putting this thing on her kitchen table.
Wait, hey, wait, why you gotta drag me out like this, though? Hold on, though. Hold on, though. Damn. Ah, you missed me, though. Hold on. Yeah, watch this. Ah, no.